Prince William and Princess Kate's daughter, Princess Charlotte, has a radiant grin and an air of absolute royalty about her. Yet she shocked everyone by crying in front of hundreds at a recent public event. It caught everyone off guard and surprised them all. As soon as Charlotte's face revealed her feelings, the atmosphere in the audience shifted. The world seemed to slow down as the crowd's merriment dissipated, leaving Princess Charlotte alone with her tears. For what reason was there such an emotional pause? We'll find out if we go in. The day began as any grand royal event would. In the hopes of catching a glimpse of the royal family, the streets were crowded with crowds waving Union Jack flags. There were cameras everywhere to record the momentous day, which was a mixture of solemn contemplation and joyous celebration. Members of the royal family came together to commemorate a momentous occasion that touched the hearts of all citizens. Princess Charlotte stood confidently behind her parents, the Prince and Princess of Wales, her elder brother Prince George, and a horseshoe brooch that her great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, had given her. Optimal attire adorned Princess Charlotte. At the tender age of 7, she had already proven herself capable of gracefully navigating the spotlight. Nonetheless, things were different on this specific day. The cameras caught a pivotal moment that happened throughout the event. Charlotte's expression shifted from calm to one that betrayed her intense feelings. Her tears would have been streaming down her face in no time. For a youngster who usually keeps a level head in social situations, it was an unexpected and unguarded moment of vulnerability. There was utter silence as the camera panned in on her, capturing the look of her trembling lips and teary eyes. Her soft moans pierced the stillness, and for an instant it seemed like everyone was waiting for something to happen. Amidst a gathering of the royal family to mark a significant milestone, it was Charlotte's tears that brought the house down. No longer were ceremonies, castles, and crowns paramount. That even royals are human was brought to our attention by Princess Charlotte in that brief but meaningful moment. Furthermore, everyone shares emotions, no matter how famous your family is. This was a powerful reminder of the strength that comes from being human, and it brought the majesty of royalty down to earth. There was something about the child's character and her situation that went beyond the simple fact that she wept. The event, which was full of tradition and respect, was broadcast live on television, and Princess Charlotte's tears were filmed throughout it. Right then and there, she injected an emotional and visceral dimension into what everyone had expected to be a formal event. When Charlotte started crying, everyone noticed. There was an immediate upsurge in social media activity as people from all over the globe responded to them as soon as they were made public. Out of nowhere, something that had been a very personal and intimate event became a global news story. Many people shared their thoughts, stories, and support for the young princess. They came from all over the world, and they were all different ages and ethnicities. On the other hand, why was this specific moment so impactful? What gave it its meteoric rise to fame? It was the situation's inherent naivete and weakness in a nutshell, a welcome and refreshing difference in a world where social media is filled with immaculate and polished moments. Charlotte's tears were. People usually see her smiling and playing with her siblings when they watch her on TV, so it was unexpected to see her show real emotion. The occasion served as a poignant reminder that even children of royalty, burdened by the pressures of tradition and lofty expectations, experience human emotion on a fundamental level. Sadness, frustration, and weariness are among these emotions. Beyond the glitz and glamour of a life as a member of the royal family, a life filled with castles, parties, and other special events, lies a reality that is far from idyllic. Charlotte has been the center of attention from the start because she is the only child of Prince William and Princess Catherine. Every member of the royal family, even the youngest, is subject to the immense pressure that comes with being a princess or prince. Princess Charlotte has been the object of incessant media attention and camera flashes ever since her birth. Every smile, movement, and activity is being watched, evaluated, and spoken about. The majority of kids don't talk to anyone about how they're feeling, including their families, whether they're upset or crying. But Charlotte can usually film these special moments and show them to millions of viewers across the world. Royals were expected to keep their cool and keep their distance from the populace, never showing too much emotion in public. It was completely out of the question for them to show any indications of sadness or vulnerability. Having said that, things have evolved. As Charlotte's moment so aptly demonstrated, the contemporary royal family has transformed into a society that values openness and relatability highly. The public's newfound appreciation for the royal family has allowed them to see their beloved members in a more relatable light, serving as a gentle reminder that Princess Charlotte is more than a fictional princess. She is a real-life little girl with feelings and experiences similar to every child. The fact that she cried as her story was being aired on television added to the emotional impact of the event since it was so personal. Even though she was a member of the royal family, Charlotte reacted like any other child, feeling the pressure, the emotions, and the weight of the event. She seemed to be engulfed by it all. Her tears made everyone realize that no matter how extraordinary another person's life seems, we all share the same emotional experiences. At that same moment, Charlotte was a small child yearning for her great-grandmother, and she was also a princess. As a young girl, she was burdened by her family's traditions and society's expectations, but she lacked the emotional maturity to manage them. Charlotte was able to be seen as more than just a title for a brief while, as the barriers associated with monarchy appeared to crumble. Even in the middle of enormous events, it is the little human moments that make the biggest impact, as Charlotte's tears showed to many. It just took one tear for her to bring humanity to a monarchy that is often seen as cold and distant. Additionally, this is the main reason why this specific moment resonated with millions of people. To understand why everyone was dumbfounded, one must look at what happened before Princess Charlotte wept. An emotionally charged event inside the family served as the catalyst for these pent-up emotions. Thus, this wasn't a mere outburst. One of the most treasured properties owned by the royal family served as the venue for the aforementioned event. It was a day for reflecting, remembering, and paying respects. It was a time for the royal family to get together and honor Queen Elizabeth II, who had a profound effect on their lives and the lives of Britons generally. This was no ordinary ceremony. It was a serious and sorrowful occasion with deep historical and emotional resonance. When the coffin of Queen Elizabeth II entered Westminster Abbey for her burial, it was a solemn event. While the Dean of Westminster presided over the event, music was performed and the choir sang, first at 11 o'clock in the morning. The Queen's favorite songs, such as Like as the Heart and Who Shall Separate Us, were among those heard. With the playing of the last post, the ceremony drew to an end. After a 2-minute silence, the congregation sang God Save the King and a bagpipe tune called Sleep, Dear Sleep. A large group of troops and royal family members formed a magnificent procession in London to accompany the coffin as it was carried to the hearse. It drew the attention of millions of people. After that, the hearse went to Windsor to take part in another procession, this time with 97,000 people in attendance. At Windsor's St. George's Chapel, the Queen's corgis and horse were positioned close by for the service. Roughly 800 people showed up for a ceremony that was both short and moving. King Charles placed a singular flag atop the coffin after he had removed the crown, orb, and scepter. After this, the Lord Chamberlain severed his wand, symbolizing his function and the end of an era. The playing of the national anthem coincided with the gentle descent of the Queen's casket into the royal vault. Following a brief interval, a private religious ceremony was performed at the King George VI Memorial Chapel to lay the Queen to rest among her parents and sister. 8 people were needed to transport her lead-lined oak casket. The coffin's weight made it cumbersome to move. Princess Charlotte had attended royal events before, and each time she had carried herself with the most elegant poise. That day, though, was different. There was an almost tangible sensation of loss in the air, and it appeared as though the whole environment was holding its breath. It was to be expected that even the youngest members of the royal family would be moved by the heartfelt tributes and memories shared throughout the day. Specifically, Charlotte had a unique bond with her great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen had a deep love for her great-grandchildren and was often seen engaging in playful activities, teaching them about the royal family and sharing tender, loving moments with them. The relationship between Charlotte and her maternal grandma was quite special. Because of their special relationship, the Queen was often smiling and showing compassion for Charlotte because of her infectious enthusiasm and extroverted personality. Queen Charlotte and her daughter were very close. The closeness of the bond between Charlotte and the Queen was shown by the abundance of reports detailing her pleasant meetings with the monarch in the months preceding the event. The relationship between a great-grandparent and their grandchild may be the most important one a kid will ever have. So it's likely that all of Charlotte's treasured memories of those identical moments flooded back to her when it was time to do homage to Queen Elizabeth II. On the morrow, Charlotte wore a morning coat with a velour collar and black sleeves. She accessorized the coat with a wide-brimmed hat as well. Prince George, her brother, sported a sharp blue suit and black tie. She was disappointed that her younger brother skipped the party. Even in the midst of the ceremonial observances, every member of the royal family could feel the gravity of the moment. Even though Charlotte, who was just 7 years old, probably couldn't understand the gravity of the situation or the solemn mood, she made an impression that will be hard to forget. Princess Charlotte may have been a tiny girl at the time, but she would have felt the change in the air when she witnessed the solemnity of the event and the melancholy that the guests had assembled to remember. Adults may be better at controlling their emotions, but kids are open and honest. A child's emotional toolbox is always developing. Charlotte may not have been emotionally ready for the tidal surge of emotions brought on by the gravity of the situation. Charlotte appeared composed as she stood calmly beside her brother and parents at the start of the ceremony. But as time passed, her expression began to shift. The initial indications of her mental turmoil were a little wrinkle in her forehead and a change in her posture. Nonetheless, tears ultimately started to pour from her eyes. For a little while, she tried to control their movement, but it didn't work. As soon as the tears began to fall, a raucous sob erupted. At that very moment, the whole audience, including those at home, saw the young princess at her most authentic and unpretentious. It's conceivable that Charlotte associated the tears with more than just grief. The Queen probably felt a range of emotions, including immense grief, a sudden surge of missing a loved one, and maybe even a newfound understanding of the public gaze that comes with being a royal kid. We may never know the exact thoughts that were running through Charlotte's mind at that moment, but it is evident that she was going through something deep. Many individuals felt a mixture of awe, sorrow, and amazement as they saw Charlotte's tears streamed live around the globe. People weren't astonished by the tears per se. After all, kids cry all the time. The fact that it happened live on television during a monumental event and that the little princess, Charlotte, was the one to shed them made it an unforgettable sight. All of the subsequent occurrences were just as heartbreaking. Her parents, Prince William and Princess Kate, revealed a lot through their responses. With her emotions caught on camera, Princess Kate drew up to Charlotte. She drew nearer to Charlotte, her face betraying her care and devotion. Kate, who always has a level head, leaned over and patted Charlotte on the back. She gave a comforting nod and a grin. The deep bond she had with her kid was on full display in that seemingly little act. Whispering encouraging words to her kid, she brought her comfort. Royal protocol took a back seat to concerns about Charlotte. The royal family behaved as though they were at home, even though the whole world was watching. Their approach to parenting, which centers on making their children feel loved and safe, even in the most public settings, was on full display in this moment. Their parenting techniques were on full display at this moment. Prince William and Princess Kate have made it clear that they want their children to have a normal childhood, even if they are members of the royal family. There have been many situations when this parenting style has been praised and criticized. They demonstrated the application of this idea, for example, in their reaction to Charlotte's anguish. William and Kate have taken a more measured approach to their relationship than earlier royal generations, who were expected to behave more politely and emotionally reserved. Their children have always been supported in expressing themselves and embracing their emotions. In interviews, both parents have talked about how important it is to teach their kids that it's okay to be sad and to find comfort in the company of people they trust. Their plan is to help their kids realize that emotions aren't who they are, but rather a normal part of being human that has to be recognized and controlled. A striking example of how this message is brought to life was the tears that Charlotte wept. The public's enthusiastic reaction and comforting moments were caught on video, but what happened behind the scenes was equally illuminating. People familiar with the royal family's inner workings told us that Charlotte got all the comfort and reassurance she needed. Prince William was absent when Charlotte started to cry during the ceremony, since he had participated in a procession to Hyde Park earlier in the day. However, the moment the cameras stopped rolling, he returned. Prince William was observed bending down and chatting to Charlotte in a low, comforting voice. Many who were there were impressed by his generosity and support, as he made sure his daughter felt safe and comfortable, even though it was an unaired private moment. Princess Kate, who is very kind, allegedly held Charlotte's hand and massaged her shoulder after the event to help her physically cope with the trauma. In an effort to calm Charlotte, this was done. As a mother of 3, Kate is well versed in the highs and lows of child development. The event's witnesses said that Charlotte felt much more at ease in her company, which was kind and sympathetic because of her. By prioritizing Charlotte's health, the royal couple showed the world that even the most famous people have strong feelings of family and compassion. As challenging as it is for Charlotte to be in the spotlight, she clearly has a supportive and caring family behind her. For as long as they have been parents, Prince William and Princess Kate have prioritized making sure their children are happy and healthy. Her parents were there for Charlotte when she sobbed, providing comfort and reassuring her that she was secure. In doing so, they show their children, among many other things, that it's okay to be vulnerable, that they are loved no matter what, and that all of their feelings are genuine. Even while Princess Charlotte will inevitably encounter more challenges as she grows up in the royal family's limelight, moments like these, in which she expresses her true feelings, help to highlight the importance of love, compassion, and empathy. She may be the center of attention, but she is still just a little girl with a loving family who cares deeply about her. Everyone is watching and wondering about her. The King and Queen's fate is up in the air. For whom does this hold significance? As an indication that things are changing, the public is becoming more tolerant of the human side of royals. Charlotte will likely realize that showing emotion is not necessary for love as she grows older. With this, she can confidently navigate life's challenges. Actually, when she grows up, she could inspire others to embrace their own frailties, showing that strength isn't only about keeping calm but also about being genuine. Photos of happier times with Princess Charlotte were posted to the royal family's official social media accounts after the show. Charlotte was shown in these photos joking and playing with her siblings to reassure the public that she was fine and loved. The photos were a deft way to end the ordeal and reassure everyone that Charlotte was well, no matter what had happened. It was a means of putting an end to the ordeal. The royal family were busy in the days that followed, with Princess Charlotte making public engagements where she exuded an infectious sense of excitement and energy. From the reactions of the general population, it was evident that people preferred to view her as an authentic and kind youth, rather than an intimidating figure. Public figures might seem more approachable and real when they show signs of weakness, as was evident throughout the whole occasion. The way the royal family handled Charlotte's emotional moment showed that they understood the need of maintaining a balance between the two. This tragedy showed the royal family's humanity and sympathy, which strengthened their bond with the ordinary public. In particular, they stressed that the royal family is just like any other family, a real unit that goes through good times and bad. Love, support, and understanding are powerful tools, and that moment served as a reminder to everyone, no matter their status. Everyone will always remember that moment. General public opinion was quite favorable toward the royal family's handling of the issue. It proved that showing genuine care and empathy is the surest approach to make a connection with someone. Princess Charlotte's tears may have surprised everyone, but her family's reaction cemented the moment and kept the conversation about the royal family's new, more approachable image going. In the aftermath of the event, William and Kate allegedly took Charlotte aside to reassure her that she was loved and protected, as confirmed by many royal sources. Reports indicate that on the way to the car, Kate was spotted gently stroking Charlotte's cheek and speaking sweetly with her. Charlotte was assured by her that everything will be well. Even though no one could see it happening, the couple's commitment to shielding their children from the stresses of city life was on full display in this private moment. They demonstrated that their parental duty, not the demands of the royal family, was paramount by prioritizing Charlotte's well-being above all else, even in the face of intense public scrutiny. As the story made headlines throughout the country, many people were curious about how William and Kate handled Charlotte's emotional moment. The couple's attitude to the problem demonstrated a modern and approachable parenting style, and commentators lauded their emotional intelligence and aptitude for empathy. This event helped people view the royal family in a new light, which is important in a culture where they are often perceived as distant from the common people. In order to express their appreciation for William and Kate's actions, many parents turned to other social media sites. Being there for your child when they need care the most is the epitome of being a parent, as pointed out by several others. Setting aside their status as members of the royal family, they made the point that William and Kate are setting a positive example as parents. The royal family seemed more approachable than ever before when Charlotte wept. In a time when the world was watching, they were both famous and loved as parents, and it was a moment that highlighted the connection between families and a culture that doubts the relevance of monarchies in modern times. The royal family seemed more personable and attuned to the people than they ever had previously on this specific occasion. Many may have been surprised by how much the royal family became relatable after Charlotte's dramatic and understandable emotional outburst. The findings proved that even those brought up in a highly visible environment might still be susceptible to vulnerability. Her tears were a symbol that vulnerability is normal and that everyone, regardless of their position in life, shares the same sentiments. What was most revealing was the way her parents reacted. They prioritized their daughter's emotional well-being over royal demands and offered her comfort and reassurance. This served to further emphasize the idea that the royal family is more than just a historical institution with strict customs. Just like any other group of individuals, the royal family is dealing with life's highs and lows. It exemplifies the dynamic character of the modern monarchy while also making them seem more accessible and in tune with the public opinion. On top of that, I think it shows how far the royal family has come as parents. Their children are more comfortable expressing themselves as William and Kate have showed them that it's okay to feel and seek consolation. Because of Charlotte's emotional performance, more individuals could relate to the royal family, which could have strengthened their relationship with the public. They are still a family that, like everyone else, experiences love, sadness, and vulnerable times. This is a powerful reminder of that, despite their prominent status.